I've always liked the MG1 particularly as a bass synthesizer, but I always thought that it was just not low enough. Tone Source 2 is tuned in an octave higher as it comes stock than Tone Source 1 or VCO 1. So I added a few mods to sort of maximize the sound of the synthesizer, especially. I like it as a bass synthesizer. So I replaced some resistors and tuned both the monophonic VCOs an octave down than it normally is. So for instance, with Tone Source 2, its typical low range goes down around here. So I tuned it an octave down, and now it's... I always thought the square wave was always a little thin on Tone Source 2 as well. The pulse width was set to something like 10% or so. So I added a knob over on the right that adjusts the pulse width, and so now you have variable pulse width and can change the Tone Source 2 square wave from somewhere in this neighborhood where it comes stock to nice big sound. So now it's down here. So not much nicer, fuller sound. So now when we get real low, we can hear the MG1 get some nice heavy bass. Oh, sorry. Tone Source 1 was up an octave. I mean this low. Further, I added the typical 1/4 inch out and 1/4 inch input to the filter that you see pretty often on the MG1s, but what I did differently was add a switch on the back to feedback the audio path back into the filter. Instead of running a cable from the headphone jack back into the filter input on the back, now you just have to flip a switch. So where we have... We want to turn this down because it cranks the volume a little bit, but we'll switch that down too. Sort of like the brute knob on the Mini Brute synthesizer, and it really contributes to the character of the filter, where most of the time you'd be hearing. Now you're hearing something a little different. So a little bit different color there. Also, this makes a big difference on the polyphony, where it typically can sound pretty boring. Where now we can get the... nice and distorted, a little thicker, so it definitely improves. Finally, I added a potentiometer on the back to the sort of adjusts the gain to that feedback circuit, so you can go from sort of a usable filter to something that gets real crazy. So it just adds a little more character. Oops, I bumped the camera there. Anyway, so it gives you an idea of what makes this MG1 special and, in my opinion, more usable and a particularly good bass synthesizer. Thanks.